Welcome to OMNI Television and also to talk with us about this important issue.
Thanks for having me.
Are these measures introduced by the Ontario government enough to fight bullying?
I think it's definitely the first step. I think the fact that they're looking at how can we train our staff so that they're able to prevent and deal and manage the incidents that are happening at school is definitely important. I really like that they are adding a questionnaire in. I think it's important to see the viewpoint of the kids. So for us, we work with the kids and we always hear their viewpoint, and that's such good information to work with, especially when we're thinking of the prevention piece. So definitely, I think that they're taking that first step and they're doing what they need to do, especially with what happened in Hamilton and a bunch of the other incidents that have happened over the last year as well.
How can we define bullying?
So right now, the way it's defined is it's basically an imbalance in power, and it's something that happens repeatedly. So some of the examples that we see is if someone's using their physical power repeatedly against someone. So they're physically fighting them or being physically aggressive with them on multiple occasions throughout the year. There's also a social imbalance where if they're using their popularity against the child on multiple occasions, so having people not sit with them, not talk to them, not engage them. And another really big one that we see is that imbalance of knowledge. So if they have information on someone that's embarrassing or that they don't want people to know, they're also using that against them in a repeated way.
There is several forms of bullying, including cyberbullying.
Yeah, cyberbullying's the most recent. The way that we kind of break it down is there's the social bullying, there's physical bullying, there's verbal bullying, and then cyber is something that is kind of growing, and I think it's also combining some of the social aspects and verbal as well.
And how can we stop these kind of issues, bullying, cyberbullying?
I think we are taking this first step. So definitely training the staff to be aware of what it looks like, what it sounds like, and how to intervene is super important. I also think continuing to have these conversations in the home or something else that needs to happen. So we see a lot of our families where they come to us and they're like, we don't know what to do or how to talk to our kids about this. So I think definitely providing a space for kids in school, but as well as at home to talk about what's going on, letting them be vulnerable and explore their emotions or their experiences within the school system as well, opens up that space to actually talk about it and know about it when it's happening.
How bullying changing over the years?
It's definitely changed. I find, especially when we're talking to schools about it or even just with our clients in the office, physical bullying's always been around, verbal and social. But from those three, you were able to kind of escape them if you got home, right? We've even had kids tell us, I run home from it and I close myself in my room, but I'm not actually away from it because they're messaging me online or on the gaming systems, or they're posting stuff on Instagram or Twitter that are about me. So I think that's where it's changed. It's a lot harder now to escape it because of the cyber part of it, where they can keep messaging you, even in classrooms. We have students tell us all the time that they used to feel safe in a classroom, but now their phone's constantly vibrating and it's people in that class messaging them and targeting them while they're trying to focus. So it's a little harder to escape it now, and I think that's the biggest change.
And how are the children and the teens playing a part in this issue? Yeah.
So I find we actually did multiple workshops within the school system on bullying over anti-bullying prevention, and it was interesting because we asked them, we're like, everyone raise your hand, or raise your hand if you think that you're a part of bullying, and most people didn't. And I think that that's a big factor, is kids don't really understand what it is, first and foremost. They also don't really understand the part that they play in it. So there's the person that is bullying. That's a really easy one to note. There's the person that's being bullied, but there's a lot of other people that go into that. So the way we define it is there's the people that assist, so the friends of those people that are also jumping in and kind of continuing with that behavior. There's the people that encourage it, so you might not be involved, but you're laughing or you're bringing it up or you're watching and smirking and making comments, so you're encouraging it to continue. There's the observer, which that's the role that a lot of people play, is they kind of stand off to the sideline sidelines and they watch and they don't know what to do, or they're fearful that it's going to end up kind of falling back on them and they're also going to be bullied. And then there's the person that does defend. So there's so many different roles that kids play and they're not aware of them. So something that we always highlight is the person that defends. You can defend in different ways. So maybe it's not getting involved right away, but going up to that child after in a safe space and asking if they're okay, letting them know that that wasn't right. It could be talking to parents, siblings, the school. We've even encouraged our kids at the office to submit anonymous notes to teachers, just to be like, this is what is happening and someone should know about it. So I think there's definitely a lot of roles, and the sad part is the kids don't understand the roles that they're playing in it.
And then what suggestions can you give to the parents to help their children?
So we kind of look at this in two ways. So for parents, definitely creating that space like we talked about, where they feel like they can be vulnerable and honest and comfortable talking about whatever it is that's happening at school. And within that space, parents should also be open about their experiences with bullying or what they've struggled with when it comes to, the social, verbal, physical aspect of it. That way we're normalizing that it does happen to everybody, and we're creating that space to openly talk about it. So that's definitely one of the first things. But the other aspect of that is also making sure that your kids have the social skills and the emotional skills to cope with these things, right? So being able to, and this is something we see all the time too, where kids aren't able to tell the difference, right? They don't even realize sometimes that they are being bullied. So teaching them how to read social clues, right? Also how to be assertive, how to speak up for themselves, and how to manage those emotions. So those skills are crucial, and we teach them at Behaviour Matters all the time through our group programs, and we find that they really help kids who are being bullied, because we see tons of kids that are.
The parents also need to work with the schools to ensure the safety of their children.
Well, and that's something, not even just with the parents, with the schools. We work really closely with the schools as well as the parents, so this comes up all the time. And for most parents, a lot of the times when they're hearing what's happening at school, they don't want to bring it up right away. They feel like they should wait, or they don't want to make it worse. They're kind of having the same fears that their children are having. And the problem there is that most parents, when they do approach the school, it's already been happening for a while, or it's gotten really intense. So it's sometimes the final straw for the parents, but it's essentially the first straw for the school, because they haven't heard about it until that moment. So what we always tell families is, as soon as it starts happening, even if it's not bullying, if it's just an incident, you want to reach out to the teacher and just let them know this happened. Not saying that it's a big deal or we need to make a big deal out of it, but I just want you to be aware so that we're monitoring it, and that way you're tracking all of the things that are happening. So if it does start becoming a bigger issue, everyone's already aware, and we can start acting a little bit more efficiently. So that's a big piece. The other side, and this is where we always communicate with the school about this too, is the school has so much going on. So as much as they can support and they're doing their part, sometimes it is getting a third party involved, like Behaviour Matters, working with the therapist, so that we're doing the work on teaching them the social skills, the emotional skills, we're supporting the family, and then we're connecting with the school so that we're all on the same team and making sure that we're doing what needs to happen so that it's not falling through the cracks at school as well.
A final message to our viewers about this important issue.
I think it happens. It's something that happens way more often than we think. And I always just suggest, don't keep letting it go and let it build up. If you're seeing that there's bullying happening or something that just isn't quite right, reach out to a therapist to find support, reach out to the school just so they're aware of it as well.
Thank you very much, Tania. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me.
Tania DaSilva foi assim a nossa convidada, a terapeuta luso-canadiana, a abordar este importante tema, o bullying nas escolas do Ontário. Vamos voltar após um curto intervalo. Continuação de uma boa noite. Até já.